Hello, everyone. Welcome to Peacepreneur, where purpose meets practices, where business meets peace, where enterprises meet peace. Peace isn't just an ideal, it's a strategy, a moment, a way of life. I'm your host, Dr. Mukti Savedi, and this is your space where changemaker, healers, visionaries, and bold innovators gather to reimagine the world, not as it is, but it could be. A world where peace is built not just through protest or policies, but through all the actions we perform in our everyday life. At Peacepreneur, we don't shy away from asking big questions. What does it mean to build from a place of wholesome? Can finance become a force of freedom and peace? What happens when love becomes the business model? Today's episode, we take you and we design the age of innovation and invite us to leap. We are diving into the evolution of finance, Volume 3, where she has published Volume 1, Volume 2, and in a process of publishing Volume 3. Barbara Guth, a groundbreaking explorations of how the sovereign revenue trust entity is more than financial reform. She'll be talking a lot about it as well. It's a financial dynamics, a soulful system, a shift from profit at all costs to partnership, to peace, rooted in inclusions of peace and prosperity. This isn't about taking a side of a modern system. It's building a new transforming systems for peace and human development. So wherever you are walking, driving, dreaming, pause, take a breath, open your heart. You are not just listening to a podcast. You are joining a revolutions in a rhythm with love, justice, and a spirit of creations. This is Peacepreneur, and together we can run for the future with soul, with hope, and with our action. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Mukti. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to join you today. My gosh, this effort that you're starting, I can't tell you how it touches my heart. And we have a long history together, going back to what, 2007, 2008, back in Rwanda and peace building, conflict transformation training. And just so profound to actually bring this full circle. And who would have ever known we ended up here, right? I'm
Yeah,
just really honored to be your first guest. And we are so aligned in how we're seeing being able to make shift happen in the world. We need some help. You know,
yeah, that's for sure.
so many well-intentioned people, but we're using a lot of old ideas and old structures. And so to be able to actually break out of that,
Mhm.
it just opens so many opportunities to move towards peace in a very profound way. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Let me begin asking you with the first questions, actually. Well, it's just starting. You're working at the intersections of finance, diplomacy, and peace building, a space many see as a contradictory.
Yes.
What called you to this work, and what's your why?
That's a great question. Well, I happened to be in New York City. I used to be in healthcare, and then I moved into finance to help an innovation happen in spinal surgery. But I happened to be in New York during 9/11, working there for those several years. And I ended up, because I used to work in spinal surgery in France, I ended up being volunteering with the National Guard, and I worked down at Ground Zero initially, search and rescue,
Mhm.
when we realized there was nobody to rescue. I lived it all kind of up front and personal. And so remember standing, I was down at the very bottom of the pit on the 12th, I was on the 12th. And and I remember standing there and just looking all around thinking, is this honest to God the best we've got? Is this really the best we can do? I mean, come on, what can I do to help change this? Humanity's in a bad place. Um, so that's really where the mission started, and I got a clear feeling right then it's like time to get on mission. That's like, okay, I don't know what that is, but I'm in, and I'm committed. And so that was 2001.
Hmm.
So it's really been, a journey of trying to educate myself and understand what are the bigger problems, but also more importantly, how are people engaging the problems, but how are we engaging ourselves? Because we don't really, there's whole areas, of course, in psychology and all of that, but there's a deeper piece here that's tied into all of this and how we understand our own woundings and our own um, pain and then project it on others and then blame others. And then we end up in this big mess. And then you put arms in place and then you've got a challenge, And so it's a deeper, much, much deeper issue that I really wanted to understand. So I wanted to understand how to deconstruct the egoic structure, So I went to a Buddhist university to understand, deconstruction of egoic structures, really, and worked with a spiritual teacher for years.
Hmm.
And she's really taught me how to um, see my belief systems and my ideas that we all do this. We all do this. We come into the world, we're in a particular family, and we decide, something about life based on our experience. And those decisions are made as children. They're not made as an adult. But it becomes an unconscious MO, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you start really evaluating that, it's like, well, is that actually true or not? Let me look at that. And is it true? And if it's not, I can change that. And that frees me. And so all of this kind of work can lead to that. And if I'm going on too long, do let me know. But it's a big passion of mine. But it's really trying to understand when we understand how we perceive the world, if we can be aware of that, step back and be aware of that and our reaction to that, those are really empowering ways to actually affect change because then you're starting to see reality from a different perspective and that it's flexible.
Hmm.
And you can liberate yourself as an individual. And as we do that more and more, we can move towards liberating one another and actually building structures that support all of that. So, is that good?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. What I hear from you is the word peace gets diluted, right? It's something big, but people talk often about it and they don't really get what it is to be rooted in the peace, right? Will you tell me more about how do you get deeper into that understanding that peace, what you're talking about?
Well, that's the lifelong journey, right? That's the
Yeah.
internal journey. And so, you get to, when you start letting go of ideas, where you put your value, because I learned, I've done a lot of work with teachers, and when you put your value outside of yourself, you're always vulnerable to losing peace anytime somebody says anything, anytime anybody's makes a comment about you or your work or any of those things, and it makes you really vulnerable to um, losing that idea of sense of self and being empowered and loving yourself. It really comes down into loving yourself and
Hmm.
really understanding, you know what? In the end, I'm human. I make mistakes. I screw up.
Hmm.
So does everybody else. And you know what? That's where we meet. And
Hmm.
that's where when I met you, that's what I was looking for
Hmm.
was the work with Paula Green.
Yeah.
And I may be, I mean, her work was profound because she understood the only way to do this is through the heart. And that's total transparency and vulnerability in the heart.
Hmm.
And when you decide to really go there with other people, um, things start shaking. And working with the trainers that I met, like you and others in the peace building world, I was so blown away at bravery, the bravery and the courage that I saw in those people. It's like, oh my God, okay, if they can do it, I can do it, you know. So then we can inspire each other. So I think that's really a big, big key when you're able to just get to a piece, let go of all these ideas of who you're supposed to be,
Hmm.
um, and actually just learning to love who you are and radiating that out. That's peace.
Yeah.
That's fulfillment.
Yeah, it's about loving yourself and also loving others, right? Well, love this era is becoming more a barter or a business, right? Or if I get anything from the Persians or from the country or from the group, then I start showing that love. It's not that, right? But we so it should be there every time. And it's loving yourself to be able to love others is what I really find fascinating about being a peace builders or peace practitioners or peacepreneur, right? You are you're not only practicing peace within yourself, but you are sharing the moment of peace when you're talking to someone else, when you are giving something to someone else, when you are sharing your knowledge and skills to someone else, when you are listening to someone else. I think this is how we can, promote the actions of peace as a peacepreneur, showing
Mm.
it in every action we do in our day-to-day life.
Yeah, because Mukti, honestly, as you really do come to peace within yourself and forgive yourself for being human
Hmm.
with all your flaws, there's also tremendous beauty. And but when you really get to that place in yourself, it's so much easier to have compassion and um, spaciousness and love for other people because we're all in the same boat. We're all still living a different journey and a different story, but it's all the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it really opens um, more compassion in your own heart as you do this own work when you come into peace within yourself. And that's the internal journey, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
all an internal job. And so yeah, it's really profound to consider all this and then bringing it into the world of finance. And it's, these are interesting things that have never been really bridged like this before. So I'm so appreciative of you. And I love your term, by the way, I got to tell you. Peacepreneurs, it's like,
Thank you very much.
love that. When you first said it, it's like, oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a secret. It's a place nobody's really gone, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I have read your book one, book two, book three. You have said we must remember the noble intention behind sectors like finance, and finance is directly related to peace as well. We see a lot of conflicts now, a lot of trade of arms, a lot of problems in the global world, right?
Mm.
Tensions and problems in the government sectors. Well, give us an example where this reframing lead to a real change, like in intentions behind sectors like finance or government.
Well, that's a big question. That's a multi-pronged question. I would say that if you really, and again, this is not a judgment about a sector because all of our sectors are out of alignment. I mean,
Mm,
all of them got corrupted by the same kind of dynamic. And these are people that, whoever they were, set things up a long, long time ago. None of us had any input in that, and most of our ancestors didn't either, you know. So you understand there's a whole series of things that have been set up that really didn't serve, if they intended to serve the well-being of all, they need some work. And
mhm,
if, yeah, I would just say that a lot of these things have been set up and we've been operating them with them in them without really thinking about what are the actual outcomes if you follow it through. So much of finance, the whole construct of finance on this planet is a fear-based, scarcity-based kind of dynamic. It's not about abundance. It's about how do you survive, and how did we get in that situation anyway? How do we put ourselves in this position in the first place? Um, but as the world's coming together now, you can really understand and see more clearly because we're all able to communicate more effectively and amongst different sectors that really didn't interconnect before.
mhm,
So when I was thinking about finance, the reason I fell into finance is because I loved the idea of this orthopedic surgeon who had created a, a, a device that was really kind of a complete renaissance in the spinal surgery area about freedom in the spine. And I thought, oh my God, I got to be a part of that, I got to be a part of bringing that forward to help humanity heal because everybody was in fixed dynamics in the spine before, and now you have movement, and that's biomechanically aligned. So
mhm,
those things are advancements, and I realized, oh, this is really important. I came in from love, and and really wanting to help people and heal people. And so many people in the medical industry are so very much committed to that, you know. Um, but again, those structures of having to have the, you know, profit at any cost, you know, all of this stuff, all these things that were set up back in 1919 and before, but certainly then around, you know, what's the goal of a company? It's like, well, you have to make money, you have to have the highest return for investors.
Yeah.
And when we made that decision, it corrupted kind of everything because when you realize, particularly in the entrepreneurial realm, which is where I've been in for the last 20 whatever years, um, all that innovation, because of the way we design finance and how things are financed, is always about how that person is funded will then impact the ability to really bring to full fruition whatever that
Yeah.
invention is or innovation is. And so if you're doing that from only the only priority is a high investment return for investors, I mean, everybody wants that, of course, but you also have other priorities too. And so how do we actually bring all that and rebalance that?
Hmm.
And then design a structure to actually enable that to happen where that becomes an institutionalized kind of thing instead of the old structures of fear and lack. We do it from love and support and honoring of our innovators, our inventors. Wow, you know, and then we're all kind of focused on the same outcomes together. You know, let's see what kind of world that is because we know what we got right now. It's not very a lot of room for improvement, like I said, a lot of room for improvement. So, and again, it's not blaming anybody. It's like let's just see what it is candidly and move forward and make different choices because we can, you
Hmm.
know. But that's how I see bringing love into finance. It's actually these
Yeah.
innovators. I mean, when I after 9/11, I realized I'll just say if I may one other piece, if I may. When I realized there were going to be key innovators that were going to bring really important things to the planet, and I realized they don't want to use the venture capital model because it forces them to sell out. That you either get acquired or go public. And so when you take money, the first bit of money you take into your company and you're forced to sell out, that doesn't serve the innovators. That doesn't serve our visionaries. And those people need love. They need love and support and big big support. And that comes financially, but it also comes on the spiritual, emotional level as well. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to put all of that in what I'm working to do with my structure, the sovereign revenue trust entity. So
Yeah. Where you clearly highlighted in your book, finance from greed or fear perspective to love perspectives, right? Uh,
honor.
yeah. Well, how would you redesign economic system in the law perspectives to prioritize protections of life? Uh,
Oh, yeah, great question. Well, what I did, I realized, you know, I really wanted to. So if we're doing it one way, we need to do another way. And that's when this, I mean, it was over several days, just like this feeling of grace came in, and I was just downloading nonstop, writing. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm thinking, how can it be? Has this never been done before? And it was clear that it wasn't. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take this and reverse engineer it. So what I did is create a patent pending um, financial structure.
mhm.
You could call it any number of things, but it's basically creating a new asset class, ultimately, which I didn't realize till much later. But I just wanted to create an alternative to the venture model equity play, which is getting ownership of a company through equity, and then through that structure, then you're forced to sell out, as I said earlier. And so, to undermine that or rebalance that, that needed to happen. So I needed to have a structure. So that's what I did with this legal entity. It's a sovereign revenue trust entity, SRTE. And so I did that, and then I realized I really need to actually start sharing with people the vision that I was receiving about how we change this whole system. Because you need awareness and shift in what you perceive about how reality is and what's working, what isn't working. If you can open that up a little bit and then also have a structure that actually supports deciding to get behind our inventors,
Mhm.
and really drawing a line in the sand. And I wanted to draw a line in the sand with a patent. It's still patent pending, but I wanted to draw a line and say, for when I've got skin in the game on this. I'm committed to this as a fellow innovator. to make this change happen. And so this is the best that I can do. So that's really the structure. And so and when you actually start investing through that versus, and that what that does is enable free will, excuse me, for an inventor, because they should be able to make a choice about what they want to do with their company, whether when they're taking in money, they should be able to still choose and retain their free will and have their rights like any other person, their sovereign rights to be able to dictate what's best for them, their company, and their investors. That should be a free will decision. And
Mhm.
that's precluded in the old constructs. And that's what I've put together.
Okay. But this is what totally different from what the colleges and universities are teaching. You make profit out of whatever you're investing in. You are competing for profit, making money, right? And then we are mentored by Paula Green. Her approach is more heart transparency or kind of like transformations of your heart and doing actions to transform the heart of other people as well. It's more like love-based models. While you were doing research, did you ever see some cases of love-based model being practiced in the area of entrepreneurs, enterprises, or business?
A love-based model in
Hmm.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of efforts to try to, there's intentionality to change the um, values of how people are investing.
Hmm.
Certainly, the B2B, there's various different approaches that are out there. But it's always been about, okay, we're going to behave this way. We're going to do this. But where I think it needed another boost was you needed a structure to say, we're drawing a line in the sand with this structure, a legal entity that can be institutionalized, policy can be made around, to then create a different infrastructure through which to move through, not just an idea and saying, okay, we're going to make all these rules. I'm not really a big rule person. I believe in free choice and free will. And so I wanted to be able to provide something if somebody were inspired to do something differently, they had a means to do that.
Hmm.
So that's more so, and I wanted to inspire through a higher vibratory level. When you think of, I mean, Tesla talked all the time about frequency
Hmm.
and vibration. And so you understand hate and greed or any of those things. That's a lower vibration thing. You can feel it when you walk in a room. You can feel it when somebody's directing at you. It's the same with love and honor and respect. It's a very different vibratory level. And I wanted to create a structure that embodied that, truly embodied that in its intentionality.
Hmm.
Um, and that gets into some quantum things, but it's yeah, that's how I've seen it certainly. But certainly there's love in all kinds of things and foundations and certainly in the peace world, my goodness, that's a love-based intentionality, right? To actually bring peace to the world. That's why I see everything coming together. It's like we can really meet. There's so many places to meet and bridge and reclaiming our power as humanity and really starting to see each other, not through an identity or what somebody's job is or what sector they're in. But you really see, wow, there are beautiful people everywhere. And I'm not discounting there are people of bad intention. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the rest of humanity that really wants to have a beautiful, peaceful, love-filled life. There's a lot of people, but they needed a structure to be able to do that through.
Yeah, well, if the priority is given to the finances and money, right, people will definitely gonna forget about their love-based models and they try to make profit out of it. You see a lot of people who are changing the product quality to make money out of it, right? So it's not, there's no love, there's no the concept of entrepreneur, right? Whenever you're initiating any actions or any business or enterprises, it should be like focusing more on a peace side of it. Am I am I harming the humanity am I happy after doing whatever I'm doing, right? It's not just making money, it's making people happy and promoting the sense of love-based model and promoting peace, through accents that I perform, right? Yeah,
You know,
that's what it has been lost in the present era.
well, I think what's interesting, you bring up a really important point, and I would say again, coming because I came into the peace world from the business perspective, that's where I was coming from. And I think, it's just connecting dots that maybe we haven't connected before. But for me, you can't have peace unless you have economic stability and viability. You can't. You can't. And you need profit to be able to have a company to be able to survive and to
Mhm.
be able to pay their employees and feed and nourish the community around those
Mhm.
companies. All of those things, they interplay together. They can't be, um, you've got to understand the importance of all of these pieces together.
Yeah,
And that's why I haven't seen connected so much. So that's why I really love what you're doing, Mufti, because you're really working to promote and help connect these dots. Why it's why you're doing this whole podcast series, and that's where you and I meet because we've always been able to see that connection. And if we can just kind of I don't know, unravel it all and see, oh my gosh, not everybody's just about profit. They want to provide for their family. They want to be able to have long-term viability for their own family and their children. And those are noble intentions. Those and that's all love based.
yeah.
Our systems got corrupted, so we can fix the systems.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a very interesting fact, right? Well, when I talk to the millionaires, they feel that, oh, I need peace now, I need happiness. And when I talk to the emerging leaders or emerging, entrepreneurs who are really working hard developing their businesses and in a sense of becoming a millionaire or earning money, profit, I see the gap where if the ultimate end is peace and happiness, why can't we teach peace and happiness from the
All
beginning
day,
journey?
all day long.
Yeah.
Let's get after it. I mean, we can. And well, it's this whole idea again of this mindset that we have to work so hard and then we'll relax at the end and then just, focus on our happiness. It's like, what? Who decided that was a good idea,
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't we do that along the way and actually, be more inspired to do, find, again, it's a bigger question, but you're right. We don't have to wait till the end and we can do it along the way. And this collaboration, I found the most fulfilling thing is collaborating with
Hmm.
other people from very different backgrounds. I mean, left, right, business, you know, spirituality. I love seeing the interplays because there are interplays and we just haven't connected certain dots because, when in the system that's been set up, we're so just desperate to survive. Um, and, and that's been a really effective tool of keeping us separate. And
Yeah.
so I don't buy into that. I'm not going to allow myself to be buying into um, that belief system anymore because that's where conflicts happen.
Mhm.
Um, and if we start seeing finance as a tool for love and peace, everybody's fine with it being greed and fear. We're all good with that. The whole stock market's all based on fear. It's how it rolls. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
why don't we do one in love and see what happens there? Because I don't think we've touched even to what true abundance looks like. And when I'm talking abundance, I'm talking spiritual, emotional, physical wealth. I'm talking about the whole, we're multidimensional beings. And so what could we create? Let's see what this does. We've tried this one for the last, 100 years. We can do better.
yeah. Abundance in love, in peace, in care, in affection. Yeah, I think that's what we need to focus on, right? Well, business is profit. That's no doubt. Everyone talk about business and profit. And if you look at conflict is profit. So why can't peace be profit as well? Can't we develop the mm,
Love it.
model for peace?
Let's
In
make that lucrative.
Yeah.
That's that lucrative. I love that. I love that. It's just everything's upside down and backwards. Just undo it. And I love that because it can be way more profitable.
Hmm.
Um, pursuing peace, but that would serve the whole. That serves the whole.
Okay, so if you could instill one quality in every leaders to accelerate this, whatever we have talked in our podcast, what would that be from your side, your perspectives?
Hope.
Hope, a very good one, right? Hope.
We can change all of this. The power of humanity is profound. And there's so many people, I mean, with the work that I'm doing now, bringing out the books, but the podcasts and these various things, the people that reach out to me afterwards, there is fire in the belly of people all over the world. I have people from all over the world reach out, and they're so hungry for a change, ready for a change. They don't want these old systems anymore. And so know that there is true hope out there. There are people coming together from all kinds of backgrounds, offering different solutions. And as we do that together, that's where we come together and recreate unity, um, understanding our mutual humanity, um, and turn the system of finance that's really worked against
Hmm.
to actually, why don't we use it to liberate ourselves from this whole old paradigm? Let's
Yeah,
just go, you know.
that's so true.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true. There are tremendous souls out there from all sectors.
Yeah, where there's a need for new systems, that's what everyone is talking about, right? So what's one step our audience can take to be a peacepreneur or a love centered individuals in their own spheres of life? Is there any recommendation from you, Barbara?
Say that question again. Let me hear that again.
Okay. Well, we talk so many things about, heart touching, love centric. So what is your recommendations to audience
Oh,
be a peacepreneur in their own life for in a day
I
to
would
day?
say this because we're talking to um, people in the peace world and also the business world. So I would say this. Um, if the people in the peace building world really understood how many people are of profound heart in the business world that want to do good, that want to serve one another, they're they're there. It's, again, the structures have corrupted things,
Hmm.
but and people have to live under those structures, so people are trying to survive. But there are such good souls, and I would say on the business side, when I was with you in Nepal and Rwanda with the whole our teams, when I saw, like I said, the bravery and the courage of people talking with two different sides who basically uh,
Hmm.
harmed each other's families dramatically in Rwanda and other places, it's horrific. And so for people to go into that lion's den of raw, the deepest pain of humanity, that requires such courage
Hmm.
for those people and the peace builders, giants of among people. And so for me, understanding those people are out there doing that work to try to build peace, to understand, that you can't do business unless there's peace. So everybody's actually can benefit one another. They really, really actually are. And if we can respect each other in a new way and really kind of open our eyes to each other's humanity in both sectors, I think it would be huge, a huge opportunity. And I think I'll just say one other thing. I was on the board of Paula's of Karuna Center, and I think what galled me is having to beg for money
Hmm.
from people for people doing this level of work, and whoa, that didn't land well for me. It's like this is upside down, and
Yeah, well,
so
people don't really understand about peace, right? And that has been a challenge for me, working in peace area for 15 years. I always have to, go and beg money for the peace